Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com with your video hurricane outlook and discussion for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. Now for Tuesday, May the 29th, 2012. Take a look here at the remnants of Tropical Storm Beryl, whatever you call it. And it's now just a depression sitting here over southeast Georgia. You can see these feeder bands still trying to come in off the Atlantic. It wants to stay alive, but it is having a hard time because it's sitting over land. You can see these popcorn showers, lots of instability. All this cloud cover you see here, these low puffy clouds indicates a lot of instability in the atmosphere, a lot of moisture that's available, and the remnants of Beryl here, a focusing mechanism that will wring all that moisture out and bring a lot of rainfall to portions of the Carolinas and southeast Georgia, continuing as well into northern Florida. If we look at a watch and warning map from the National Weather Service, you see a good deal of the eastern Carolinas, eastern Georgia, and parts of northern Florida under different forms of the flood watches, whether it be flash flooding or just general aerial flood watches, meaning that you have just a lot of rain over a large area as opposed to a more fast-moving flood event, the flash flood. Nonetheless, a lot of activity there in the southeast with the remnants of Beryl, a late May, fairly strong tropical storm that initially made landfall at Jacksonville, Florida, as you well know, over the weekend. Looking at the radar just from a little while ago, again, you can see these popcorn showers and thunderstorms here in the Carolinas, with some of these loosely associated with the banding features of Beryl. There's the center in southeast Georgia, not too far to the northeast of Valdosta. This will continue to move on a path very similar to this, out into the Atlantic Ocean, where water temperatures here are warm enough that it may try to ramp up again and become a tropical storm. If it does, of course, it'll still be called Beryl, since that's what it is now. And you can see here, even in Florida, along and near the Nature Coast area north of Tampa, lots of heavy rainfall, all of this in association with the big moisture envelope with tropical depression Beryl. If we look at the forecast track, moving again off the coast of the Carolinas and then finally out to sea, and the weekend when it gets here, heck, this is Friday, the forecast position for Friday morning. So once we get to the weekend, since this past weekend was a rain out over this area, the weekend ahead looks very, very nice. So I know it's not Memorial Day weekend again, and you lost that, so to speak, because of Beryl, but at least the weekend ahead is going to be fantastic. One source of information I wanted to make sure you were aware of, your tax dollars pay for this, National Weather Service. Go to the weather.gov, put your zip code in right there, just put your zip code in, and then you will go to the page locally associated with your community. And there you will find these great pieces of information about any watches, warnings, outlooks, etc. You can also scroll down on this page and read the forecast discussion. A lot of meteorology in it, but it does give you a nice breakdown of what to expect from the weather conditions in your area. Just wanted to remind you of that, since this is National Hurricane Preparedness Week. Use the Weather Service, weather.gov, put your zip code in, a lot of great information there, free of charge. Now looking at the season as a whole, even though we're still a few days from the official start, this is the Atlantic sea surface temperature anomalies map for today, or yesterday anyway. And you can see the Atlantic through the main tropical development region through here definitely has some cooler pockets and not running well above normal like it has been these last few years. Still having very strong positive anomalies in the western Atlantic, certainly the Gulf of Mexico. This will really come into play in August, September, October. That's something that we can monitor right now, of course. Very warm here in the eastern parts of the El Nino region. Not as warm, but still warming in the main El Nino area, what we call the Nino 3.4 area. It's just a geographic region defining where the El Nino has its influences. There's regions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you have 3.4, which encompasses kind of like a Venn diagram parts of other regions. And we're really the most interested in what's going on across this area right here. And if we see it reach these anomalies here, these oranges and reds, then we know that the season could be really cut down in the Atlantic, because all of that rising motion that happens here, convective activity that takes place, sends upper level winds across the tropics this way in the Atlantic, cutting off the tops of tropical waves that are trying to move westward. They don't get to do that as efficiently. They get eaten up before they ever even get started, and that's why the El Nino, one of the reasons that it can have a negative influence on the Atlantic hurricane season. Looking at the visible satellite picture of the Atlantic basin, here's our little area of moisture in the western basin and over the southeast United States. The rest of the Atlantic, fairly dry air, definitely some dry air coming in here into the Caribbean and Western Gulf, and I can prove it by looking at a water vapor shot. Very low precipitable water values through here, meaning there's a lot of dry air in place at the mid-levels, dry air in the deep tropics, which is not an issue this time of year anyway. But then you see the copious amounts of moisture indicated by the white shading on this water vapor channel shot here over the southeast. This disturbance in and around Central America, nothing to worry about. It would get kicked out anyway as this front drops in, this trough, over the central United States and down into the Gulf of Mexico to some degree. So that would punt it out like a football. So there you have it. You're up to date here for the 29th of May. Again, I'm Mark Sutter for HurricaneTrack.com. This has been a video blog for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. I'll have another one for you tomorrow.